You're listening to One Bright Star's Life After Loss, a podcast that's focused on the lifelong journey of life after loss, with your hosts Erica Fisher and Alicia Moore. One Bright Star's Life After Loss podcast is sponsored by the law firm of Burkholz and Associates. And now, One Bright Star's Life After Loss podcast.
Hello, and welcome to One Bright Star's Life After Loss podcast. I'm Erica Fisher, Executive Director for One Bright Star.
And Alicia Moore, Board Member of One Bright Star.
And today we have special guests with us and Board Member Paige Hawkins. Hi, Paige.
Hey, guys.
So, Paige, you and I were talking not too long ago about what March is to you, and it's Trisomy Awareness Month. Pretty significant because of
Wyatt,
Juliana. Yes. Wyatt was affected by?
We won't know that or wouldn't know that just because he had passed away way sooner. But yes, Wyatt definitely, he had trisomy 18 mosaicism, and Juliana had trisomy 18.
Wow. Okay. Mm-hmm. In which you did tell me, which is very rare for two babies from the same mom and dad to have that.
It's actually like a 0.05% chance of having another baby within a family with the same thing. So trisomy 18 and trisomy 18 is very, very rare. And anyone else having, like, let's say a trisomy 21, and then another trisomy is also very rare.
And I didn't even know what trisomy was until you and I talked. Mm-hmm. And you educated me. So, and I had no idea.
I know it's something that not everybody knows about. And of course, people know about trisomy 21, which is Down syndrome. But trisomy basically means having 3 of the same cells in your DNA. So there's obviously many different cells in your body. Mm-hmm. And sometimes when you are growing your eggs and your fetus is starting to grow and turn into the human that they are, sometimes those cells, instead of growing properly, they double. So you have 3 of them versus the normal 2 that you usually would have for your chromosomes. So unfortunately, that does happen. It's not a consistent thing. Like, not everybody obviously goes through it, but sadly, it does happen.
Wow. So tell me a little bit about your experience when you didn't know everything was healthy with with Wyatt, your little Wyatt Earp.
Yeah, I
love that story you told me.
It's I loved the first picture with him, and actually, no, we did not know anything until our 20-week ultrasound, where he was measuring within the 5 percentile for certain areas, like his legs, his arms. His head was actually bigger than what it should have been, so there was just a lot of measurements that were not coming out properly. So then we had to go down to Rochester to get a little bit more in depth of an ultrasound. And then they were noticing again the consistencies, and that was at about 22 weeks. And we were basically told, okay, things are not showing properly on his growth. They also noticed that in his umbilical cord, there's only 2 veins versus 3, which is what normal babies would also have. So that was kind of a red flag originally for them as well.
I didn't know that either.
Right. Yep. Mm-hmm. So we had to go through an amniocentesis, and they had to go through 2 different levels of going down deep into his genetics. That's why we found out it was mosaicism, because not all of his cells came back with a full trisomy. So that's also a very rare thing for them not to have full trisomy, because usually every cell does get affected if there is the same one. But for him, it was not every single cell, so we weren't able to fully pinpoint what was going to be affected or what wasn't. So he didn't have the full skeletal outlook of what a normal trisomy baby would look like, because they have usually like a clenched fist with their fingers kind of over, or they have clubbed feet. Ears are usually lower on their head, so he didn't have any of those skeletal structures, but his growth was definitely different. So we found out, and that was very difficult. And most trisomy most trisomy babies, unfortunately, too, have many different other issues that go along with it. So, like for him, he had a diaphragmatic hernia, so his diaphragm was not strong enough to keep his organs in specific areas, so his spleen was up in his chest. And that obviously wasn't something that he'd be able to survive either. So unfortunately, trisomy, a good chunk of them do have other health issues. Even trisomy 21, Down syndrome, they also have other issues that are usually not completely life-threatening, but there are moments for that as well. But it's usually a structural thing within their body that also causes other medical issues.
What kind of, you said that was a hard thing to find out. I can't imagine that had to be so devastating when you get that news. What do the doctors give you for an outlook, for options? What do they tell you, Paige?
Well, they didn't give a very good outlook for us. We were given the option to end the pregnancy or continue to see if, how far along we would be able to go. We opted for being able to continue on with the pregnancy because our goal was to hopefully be able to hear him cry or see him breathe.
Yes.
Unfortunately, we were one of the families that did not get that opportunity, but there are a few people that I'm aware of that I know, and they were able to see their baby, and she was able to be breathing and cried, and actually it was a twin. And so the twin, they both got to be together, and their family got to be together while their little one was slowly slipping away. But it was, I think she lasted 9 to 12 hours or something like that. And so the family was so lucky, and I'm extremely happy that there are outcomes like that, because not everybody gets that.
Right.
But when you do, it's phenomenal. So, I mean, we didn't get to see Wyatt cry or breathe, but we did get to see him.
Okay.
And it was
Did you do
beautiful.
pictures?
We did, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. At first, like any parent who have had a loss, at least a stillborn, the idea of having pictures with your baby is very frightening, because it's so hard to know what they're going to look like, how you're going to see them, how much they weigh, and how big they are, how fragile they are. But it is the most beautiful thing. Yes. And that is one thing that I'm so glad that we listened to the nurse, because she kind of didn't give us much of an option, which I'm so grateful for.
Well, at that point in time, when you're going through all of those emotions and probably having to make some decisions and all of the aspects of that, I wouldn't be able to make it, say, yeah, I want pictures, or that would be the last thing on my mind.
And it really, it really was. I mean, we had about 7 hours between the time of finding out that he had passed away, and then they had induced everything, and then he was there. So we had only that amount of time to get everything lined up, like the funeral stuff, where they were going to take the body afterwards, how long we wanted to have the baby there, if we were going to do pictures, or if we wanted to bathe him, or if we wanted to have him dressed. And unfortunately, at that time, being in Rochester, which is almost 2 hours away, I didn't have anything there.
Right.
Because we were just going there for a normal appointment. Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
And that's when we found out that he had passed away, and that was
devastating.
Yes. Yeah. How many weeks was Wyatt when he was...
Yeah, he was 29 weeks, 5 days.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So he was pretty close to the end. Unfortunately, he didn't fully make it there, but he was almost 30 weeks, and we got to have him for that 30 weeks, which for me as a mom, having a hold of them in your body.
You fall in love with your babies immediately. Yeah.
And you get to know them and what their likes are, what their dislikes are, because Wyatt loved country music.
Okay.
Loved
That's
it.
so sweet.
Like, whenever I had it on, he would be extremely active.
Okay.
And he, I always wanted something sweet, which is not normal for me, but he wanted sweet.
Sweet. That's really neat.
So it's good to get to know them that way, even though you don't get to take them home. But
yes.
I love that you're able to still find joy in life. And then, speaking of joy,
Yes.
you did get your joy.
I did.
Yes.
I really did. Our little 2-year-old, which she's definitely a 2-year-old now, she's definitely brought a whole lot of joy and happiness into our life, even after our loss, both with Wyatt and our other little ones, but also with our most recent one with Juliana, who
also had trisomy.
She had trisomy 18 as well. And we got that diagnosis a lot earlier because we did the maternity DNA test or genetic test, and we found out at 14 and a half weeks, almost 15 weeks, that she had that. Of course, that was extremely devastating.
Yes.
And you go through the trauma all over again.
Right.
Even though you've walked that path, you also know that path.
Well,
Yes.
it kind of bring it. It always, I mean, I talk to a lot of people who are grieving a new grief, but it brings up the old grief. That never really goes away. But it just
brings up those memories and it brings it to the surface, and then it's all there.
Thank you, Alicia. Yes.
Yeah, and it was very, very hard. I'm so lucky though that I had Joy with me, and she was Mama's little comfort, and I am always so forever grateful for my kids that I have, and it's so wonderful to have my 8-year-old and my 2-year-old with me, because I'll tell you what, they keep me going.
Yes.
And they're the best part of everything for me, because I can always go, hey, Mommy needs a hug. And they will do it. Even my 8-year-old will go, okay, Mom.
Awesome.
Yes.
So.
And you've certainly been through those losses that are just so, and especially to have it happen twice with the trisomy. Like you said, that's just devastating news to get it the first time, and then they tell you it shouldn't happen again, and then you have the losses, and then you have little Juliana, and then that's the diagnosis. So
it's crazy to realize how obviously how things can happen so easily when you have two cells coming together.
Right.
Nothing is ever going to be perfect, and unfortunately, we were one of the very, very, very rare situations.
Right.
And we did get genetic testing done on ourselves, and so we don't understand really what happened. But I don't think there's really anything in the science field that they can really say why exactly it happens. Unfortunately, there's also no cure or way to stop it from happening, because it's a natural process.
Okay.
And so it's kind of unfortunately to say, a luck of the draw when it comes to what ends up happening and how it happens, or even how it ends. Most of the trisomies that are out there, like 13, 16, 18, 21, are usually the more prominent ones that you hear about.
Okay.
They're very prominent when it comes to so with the trisomy 13, 16, 18, and 21, when they're all coming out there, not a lot of people know about it. And when you find out about it, there's unfortunately usually a negative outcome that comes from that.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
However, obviously 21, you get the wonderful people that are so sweet and so caring and just full of life.
Yes.
And they are truly cherishing and just blessed. Anyone who gets to meet them, have them in their family, they know this because they are just the biggest hearts. So out of all the trisomy, they are lucky because they get to usually be on Earth, and everybody gets to be blessed with that. And I will say that even with our trisomy 18 or anyone with 13, 16 as well, those families are also blessed, but they don't get to keep their angels. Okay. However, it is still a blessing.
Yes, a beautiful way to look at that, Paige,
is.
because my heart hurts for you when you tell me about all 5 of your babies that you've lost, and it hurts so much that I get angry. I'm angry for you, and for you to have such a positive outlook is admirable.
And no, I don't always, but as anyone who is surviving any kind of grief, whether it is the loss of a child or a parent or a grandparent, there is that anger there, and you will go through it, but that's okay.
Yep.
Yes.
You have to be able to feel that, because one, it's a human emotion. You really shouldn't stop yourself from having it, because you need it. You need it physically and emotionally to be able to let that.
For your mental well-being.
Right.
Yes, you need to let that out. But at the same time, it's easier for me to say it than to do it, because there are times where you just want to feel like you want to break down, but you can't. And that's also okay. You can set it aside for a little bit, but allow yourself to then have time eventually to really be able to release that in any way that usually works for you. For me, it's usually watching a movie and just sitting in quietly.
Okay.
I really think the
that's
Rage
good.
Room sounds great.
Yeah.
It does. It does.
Yeah. Break a plate or something.
Just do something. Yes.
So
we had mentioned, I'm sorry,
No,
Erica.
go ahead.
I was just going to say this month is Trisomy.
Awareness.
Okay.
Yep, Trisomy Awareness Month. So
Okay. So every March is.
Yep, every
Okay.
March is. And then of each day of the month is the trisomy, so 1, 2, all the way to the 31st.
Okay.
So for us, we celebrated Trisomy 18 on the 18th,
Okay.
which to me also is a significant date, because little history of Wyatt passed away on 12/18. His first 3 months of after losing him on the 18th
Okay.
was 3 months.
Oh,
And
yes.
then we're celebrating the third trisomy on the 18th. So
those little signs.
it's
Okay.
to me, it's kind of like how it all mixes together of like, okay, well, this obviously is a very important date for me as well.
Yes, it is. Yes.
So we
Kind
get
of
to
like that circle back.
yeah,
Right.
yeah, exactly. I at first was not happy with that idea, but then I kept thinking about it like, yeah, it's actually
It becomes part of you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes. So anyone with trisomy or have had lost with somebody with trisomy, I always think about them, especially during this month, because
Yes.
it's an awareness day, but it's also a way to celebrate them, because even though, again, some of them might not be here, we get to celebrate them.
That's
Yeah,
wonderful.
that's awesome, Paige.
Yes.
Thank you so much
Yes,
for
thank you.
teaching us
Yes.
and sharing the love that you have for Wade, Wyatt, Gloria, Alice, yes, and Juliana, and
Josiah.
Yes, and Josiah.
Yes.
Yep.
I'm so glad you picked that. I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Paige.
Well, thank you.
All right, until next time.
Thanks for listening to One Bright Star's Life After Loss podcast. Life After Loss is a copyrighted production of One Bright Star. One Bright Star's Life After Loss podcast is sponsored by the law firm of Burkholtz and Associates. For more information on the lifelong journey after losing a loved one, please visit our website at onebrightstar.org.